Thank you for joining us for All Things Real Estate. Now here are your hosts, Brad Avergon and Gary Kelly.
Hello and welcome to All Things Real Estate. You know, Brad, we are on an ever-expanding network. We are on WCRN, we are on WMCT. That's a new add to the network. And of course, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, EIEIO. Pretty impressive.
It is impressive, Gary. We're picking up traction.
Exactly. The people that are watching this are saying, I don't know why people are picking you up, but that's okay. So, Brad, about real estate, one of the questions that we, ask people is, are you ready? What do you think about that, Brad? Are you ready?
I'm ready, Gary. Well, I'm kind of ready. I mean, it depends on what you're saying ready for. If you said, Brad, are you ready to move today? I don't know if I could definitely say that I'm ready. There's probably a few things that would need to be packed and some things that would need to be gotten rid of, some things that need to be touched up. But business-wise, I'm ready. I'm always ready for that. But moving, I'm not sure. Are you ready, Gary?
Well, I'm not looking to be ready. So the answer is no. I mean, I think that when you're ready, and we are talking about being ready to sell a house, you got to know where you're going to go. And, frankly, I have varying thoughts on that. One thought is to stay where I am. I own a townhome in Marlboro. One is to do something in Southborough. And the other is screw it all and go up to Maine and call it a day, which Sue would like to get her license in Maine. So I'm not interested in getting licensed in Maine. It's just, I'm not. And, I can go around and do things that you do in real estate that you don't need to be licensed for. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think a lot of people sit there and struggle with, are you ready?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's so many things that come into play when you think about selling a home. When you think about moving, are you going to stay in the same area? Are you going to move to, and if you are, where are you going to go to? And is there an opportunity for you to go to that? We're coming into a market now that's a little bit more, I'll just say, buyer friendly than the last
Brad,
year.
we call that balanced.
Balanced market, a normal market, right? So that's a good thing, right? So there's some opportunity, because quite frankly, I think a lot of people over the last year, like when you say, are you ready to list your home? Where am I going to go? Like there was 20 people lined up to buy a house for $200,000 over asking, and it was just insanity. And so I think the idea of people being able to mentally digest the fact that they'd have a place put their head on a pillow at night was a little scary. If they were going to try to stay in the area. Actually, it was across the country there was an issue. But I think now where we're coming more to a balanced market, they can start to think about that. But there's a lot of steps that have to come into play. And as you said, are you ready? What do you need to do to get ready? Some of the things, when you talk to folks, what are some of the things you share with them about, is your home ready to be sold? You can't.
Well, I think that's first question we ask is, where are you going? If they know the answer to that with clarity, like I own a house in the Cape, I'm moving there, or I'm moving in with my son, or I'm moving out of the area and I've got a reload that's going to go on and that's going to take care of my housing. If that's the case, then they're kind of all set. If that's not the case, you really sit down and say, okay, let's think about what you're going to do. Let's put together some searches. Let's take a look at some houses, try to get comfortable with, what your plan is. And then, frankly, their finances quickly come into that conversation. And I look at that as a conversation that I have to a degree with them, but I think someone like yourself, can have far deeper discussions about, how do they take money out of their house if they choose to? Do they want to bank the money? I mean, everyone comes out of, owning a house, particularly if they're at that stage in their life where they're not necessarily going to go, buy the next house that's larger. If they're in a position of downsizing, they sit there and they say, well, first of all, am I going to get enough money out of this house to get anything else? That's a real concern people have.
Sure.
Am I going to be upside down? We haven't seen a lot of that, but you and I have been through the upside down stuff where, when you sell your house, you're not going to get a check. You've got to write a check, which is never pleasant for anyone. You've got people that are, I want to sell the house. I want to clear, I'm going to say arbitrarily, $50,000. And, they may not be in a position of doing that. And that's a hard discussion to have with folks, where you look at what the value of their home is, any needed repairs to it, repairs, updates, etc., just to make it, more appealing from a cosmetic standpoint. And then, really getting into the nuts and bolts of, got to pay off this note, got to pay off that note, that kind of thing. I see a lot of people, and this is not what we're here to talk about, but I see a lot of people that have taken out reverse mortgages, and they seem to be in a panic because, frankly, the reverse mortgage people, I'm not saying that they're bad people, never would say that, but like anybody else, if they're not getting paid, the hawks start to circle you in the house.
Well, let me just dispel a common misconception about reverse mortgages, because I think they're a valuable tool, but I don't think they're the right tool for everybody. But one common misconception is that when I use up whatever line of credit that I have on my reverse mortgage, the bank is going to come and descend upon me like the hawks that they are and take the house away. And that's not true. So that is not true. So as part of the reverse mortgage program states that, the bank won't give you any more money. So you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do to live and pay taxes and cover your insurance and all that other stuff. But the bank isn't going to kick you out of your home. Okay. You get to live there as long as you can. And then once you leave that home for an extended period of time, which I believe is a year, at that point, the home has to be put up for sale or sold, or that mortgage has to be refinanced. But they're not going to kick you out of your home. But that being said, if you don't have enough money to live, if you're relying on the cash flow of that line of credit that the reverse provides, if you took that, and you run out of money to feed yourself, to keep the lights on and all that other stuff, you're going to have other problems going on anyway. And so it is going to descend upon you quickly. But that is a common misconception that people have about it. Reverse mortgages are okay, but quite frankly, I tend to think of them, and again, this is my own personal opinion, that something didn't happen in the planning. Because when I talk to people about mortgages, a lot of what I talk about is financial balance, right? So your equity in your home is one pocket, not your whole estate value. It's not tied up in the equity in your home. You've got some liquidity, you've got other assets, you've got other things, and cash flow, especially when you're retired, is the most important one, right? You've got to have cash flow. So we talk about that before people retire, right? And how is that going to come? What's it going to look like? So forth and so on. So I think that's an important discussion that people need to have. But you bring up a good point. It's not even just net equity that they're going to pull out of their house. If they need to qualify for a mortgage, will they qualify again? It's a question. Once you're retired, what's your income source?
Well, that's true. Very much so. Do you listen to Jerry Doherty at all on WCRN?
I have not as of yet. But
he does a show that's all about making money last. And, frankly, I haven't talked to him, so I don't know what his shtick is, what his angle is, but it sounds very annuity-like. I'm not trying to put words in Jerry's mouth. One of the reasons I like listening to his show is I find his voice very calming, which is helpful when you start to talk some of this financial stuff. It can be scary.
Sure.
And so, talking to someone like that talk about, how do you make money last? Because you don't want to be 85 and just be out of money. And that's scary for people. I think it's scary for everyone that's starting to reach that age and looking at, I call it the mountain, looking at how big the mountain is. And you only have so much mountain, and that's all it is. The pile will eventually work its way down and be gone.
Right.
And that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. And you know what? I'm assuming Jerry is a financial planner by trade.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So I'm a big advocate of financial planners. I think that it's, even if you have some financial aptitude, you're good with numbers, you're good with planning, you traded your own assets, stocks or whatever when you were younger. I think it's really important to get that third independent party opinion and to be able to look at it from a very unbiased standpoint, because we all have biases, right? We're coming out of a stock market that for the last 2 years that's been just insanely growing, and people are watching their assets just go through the roof. They're like, this is great. I'm going to, I got enough cash here to live till I'm, 100. And then we see a correction like we have as of the beginning of this year, where stocks are down 20%. And if somebody was either close to retirement or in retirement and they were in the stock market, well, they just had their assets dinged by 20%. Well, that has a very large ripple effect as to how long those assets have. So the idea of financial balance and making sure that money is not, even though it may be tempting at times, money is not really hanging out there at high risk and can be balanced and planned. I think that's really important. Also, when you're taking Social Security, how is that going to go? And even with that, there's a certain what I call margin for error. I mean, I think that the folks that are in retirement right now didn't necessarily plan that the cost of drugs, the cost of pharmaceuticals that they need for every day was going to cost what it does now. You have the inflation factor. Yep.
I got to stop you there and say we'll be right back after the break. You had me at, when they need drugs.
I can't even counter that. I'll see you on the flip side, Gary.
Stay tuned. More All Things Real Estate coming right up.